The Bureau's history can be traced as far back as the Spanish era. During the 17th and 18th centuries, taxes that were collected varied from tribute or head tax of 1 gold maze annually, tax on value of jewelries and golden trinkets, indirect taxes on tobacco, as well as wine monopoly, cockpits, burlas, and powder. These were all facilitated by the Contador de Resultas, or the Chief Royal Accountant, whose powers and duties were similar to that of what we know today as the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. It wasn't until during the American regime when the Bureau of Internal Revenue was formally organized and began its operations on August 1, 1904. The first organization started with 69 employees. It was under the Secretary of Finance, Henry Ide, the author of the Internal Revenue Law of 1904, with John S. Hord as the first collector, or the commissioner. Following the tenure of John S. Hord were 3 more American collectors. They were all appointed by the Governor-General with the approval of the Philippine Commission and the U.S. President. Filipino collectors eventually joined the ranks when former U.S. President William McKinley committed to the Philippinization policy. The first 3 BIR collectors were Wenceslao Trinidad, Juan Posadas Jr., and Alfredo Yatao. At the outbreak of World War II, under the Japanese regime, from 1942 to 1945, the Bureau was combined with the Customs Office. On July 4, 1946, when the Philippines gained its independence from the United States, the Bureau was eventually re-established separately. On October 23, 1947, the Bureau divided the country to 31 inspection units, each of which was under a provincial revenue agent, except in certain special units which were headed by a city revenue agent or supervisors for distilleries and tobacco factories. On the latter part of January 1951, the implementation of the withholding tax system was adopted. This method of collecting income tax resulted to the collection of approximately 25% of the total income tax collected during the said period. As an initial step towards decentralization, the Bureau created its first 2 regional offices in Cebu and in Davao on July 20, 1955. Each regional office was headed by a regional director. The creation of the regional offices marked the division of the Philippine Islands into 3 revenue regions. Implementation of various programs and projects also continued on in the tax administrations. Most of the notable programs implemented throughout the years include the Blue Master Program, Voluntary Tax Compliance Program, Operation Walang Lagay, the adoption of Value-Added Tax, or VAT, the use of the Taxpayer's Identification Number, or TIN, the Tax Computerization Project, or TCP, of 1994, the establishment of the Large Taxpayers Monitoring System, which was eventually named as the Large Taxpayers Service, or LTS, the implementation of a full integrated tax system, or ITS, Rollout Acceleration Program in 2001, the Electronic Filing and Payment System, or EFPS, the Oplan Candado operations, the Run After Tax Evaders Program, and many more. Throughout the years, the Bureau has undergone many changes in its organizational structure. Revenue offices were created, abolished, merged with other offices, split into different offices, and other significant changes. From having 8 divisions in 1913, the Bureau now has several revenue groups: revenue services, revenue data centers, revenue regional offices, and revenue district offices nationwide. Currently, the Office of the Commissioner of Internal Revenue oversees the planning and management, project management and implementation, and the large taxpayer services. Also working with the Commissioner are 4 groups, each led by the Deputy Commissioners. The Operations Group handles client support, assessment, collection, including revenue regional offices and their respective revenue district offices. The Legal Group, on the other hand, is in charge of legal, internal affairs, and enforcement and advocacy. The Information Systems Group takes care of the operation, management, and development of information systems, and supervises the 5 revenue data centers. Lastly, the Resource Management Group oversees human resource, finance, and administration. BIR's long history of organizational changes, implementing several programs, and constantly improving itself shows its steadfast commitment to providing effective tax administration rooted in its guiding principle: service excellence with integrity and professionalism. To know more about the Bureau, visit our website at www.bir.gov.ph. You may also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at BIRGovPH and subscribe to our YouTube channel, BIRGovPHL. The Bureau's history can be traced as far back as the Spanish era. During the 17th and 18th centuries, taxes that were collected varied from tribute or head tax of 1 gold maze annually, tax on value of jewelries and golden trinkets, indirect taxes on tobacco, as well as wine monopoly, cockpits, burlas, and powder, These were all facilitated by the Contador de Resultas, or the Chief Royal Accountant, whose powers and duties were similar to that of what we know today as the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. It wasn't until during the American regime when the Bureau of Internal Revenue was formally organized and began its operations on August 1, 1904. The first organization started with 69 employees. It was under the Secretary of Finance, Henry Ide, the author of the Internal Revenue Law of 1904, with John S. Hord as the first collector, or the commissioner. Following the tenure of John S. Hord were 3 more American collectors. They were all appointed by the Governor-General with the approval of the Philippine Commission and the U.S. President. Filipino collectors eventually joined the ranks when former U.S. President William McKinley committed to the Philippinization policy. The first 3 BIR collectors were Wenceslao Trinidad, Juan Posadas Jr., and Alfredo Yatao. At the outbreak of World War II, under the Japanese regime, from 1942 to 1945, the Bureau was combined with the Customs Office. On July 4, 1946, when the Philippines gained its independence from the United States, the Bureau was eventually re-established separately. On October 23, 1947, the Bureau divided the country to 31 inspection units, each of which was under a provincial revenue agent, except in certain special units which were headed by a city revenue agent or supervisors for distilleries and tobacco factories. On the latter part of January 1951, the implementation of the withholding tax system was adopted. This method of collecting income tax resulted to the collection of approximately 25% of the total income tax collected during the said period. As an initial step towards decentralization, the Bureau created its first 2 regional offices in Cebu and in Davao on July 20, 1955. Each regional office was headed by a regional director. The creation of the regional offices marked the division of the Philippine Islands into 3 revenue regions. Implementation of various programs and projects also continued on in the tax administrations. Most of the notable programs implemented throughout the years include the Blue Master Program, Voluntary Tax Compliance Program, Operation Walang Lagay, the adoption of Value-Added Tax, or VAT, the use of the Taxpayer's Identification Number, or TIN, the Tax Computerization Project, or TCP, of 1994, the establishment of the Large Taxpayers Monitoring System, which was eventually named as the Large Taxpayers Service, or LTS, the implementation of a full integrated tax system, or ITS, Rollout Acceleration Program in 2001, the Electronic Filing and Payment System, or EFPS, the Oplan Candado operations, the Run After Tax Evaders Program, and many more. Throughout the years, the Bureau has undergone many changes in its organizational structure. Revenue offices were created, abolished, merged with other offices, split into different offices, and other significant changes. From having 8 divisions in 1913, the Bureau now has several revenue groups: revenue services, revenue data centers, revenue regional offices, and revenue district offices nationwide. Currently, the Office of the Commissioner of Internal Revenue oversees the planning and management, project management and implementation, and the large taxpayer services. Also working with the Commissioner are 4 groups, each led by the Deputy Commissioners. The Operations Group handles client support, assessment, collection, including revenue regional offices and their respective revenue district offices. The Legal Group, on the other hand, is in charge of legal, internal affairs, and enforcement and advocacy. The Information Systems Group takes care of the operation, management, and development of information systems, and supervises the 5 revenue data centers. Lastly, the Resource Management Group oversees human resource, finance, and administration. BIR's long history of organizational changes, implementing several programs, and constantly improving itself shows its steadfast commitment to providing effective tax administration rooted in its guiding principle: service excellence with integrity and professionalism. To know more about the Bureau, visit our website at www.bir.gov.ph. You may also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at BIRGovPH and subscribe to our YouTube channel, BIRGovPHL. Where exactly do our taxes go? The answer is all around you. It's the roads and bridges you use every day. It's the schools you attend, the airports you use to travel, the hospitals you go to when you're sick. Simply put, without taxes, the country would be a barren, empty land. Taxes are, in many ways, extremely important in nation building. To put it simply, money collected from taxes goes to funding various government projects. These include building and maintaining roads, railways, and other forms of public transport, improving the country's education system by providing more educational facilities like classrooms and campuses, subsidizing tuition fees for students in public schools and state universities and colleges, supporting the healthcare system through funding public health programs and improving the state of our healthcare facilities, among many others. It also pays for the salaries of public servants, public school teachers, police officers, healthcare workers, local and national government officials, and employees, just to name a few. Taxes go to housing, infrastructure development for transportation and communication systems, water and power lines, etc. Many basic facilities, services, and installation needed for the said infrastructures are developed by the government or through its close engagement with the private sector. All these have ripple effects on the country's economic growth. In the last 5 years, the Bureau's shared contributions to the government's total revenues has been consistently getting higher, from a total collection of 1.43 trillion pesos in 2015 to the latest 2.192 trillion pesos, which is 11% higher than the previous year's collection. This has led to the Bureau contributing the most in government revenues, constantly meeting collection targets, with an average collection of 95% against its collection goals in the past decade. These achievements paved the way for numerous successful government projects, and it all came from people paying their taxes. More than just a social responsibility, paying taxes contributes to improving the lives of every Filipino. To know more about the Bureau, visit our website at www.bir.gov.ph. You may also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at BIRGovPH and subscribe to our YouTube channel, BIRGovPHL. Which taxes do I need to pay? Income tax is imposed on all Filipino citizens with taxable income. Non-residents and non-individual foreigners in the country will also need to pay income taxes. Business tax is imposed on persons engaged in business. It is an indirect tax and can be passed on to the buyers. Business taxes have 4 kinds: the value-added tax, or VAT, percentage tax, excise tax, and amusement tax. Transfer tax is imposed when there is a transfer of property ownership. Donor's tax is for a transfer of property between 2 or more living persons. Estate tax is collected for a property transfer between the deceased and their heirs. Documentary stamp tax is imposed on documents, instruments, loan agreements, and papers upon completion of transaction. How do I pay my taxes? The best way is through voluntary compliance. This is the payment of taxes upon filing of tax returns that is based on self-declared income. The BIR also conducts regular audit to check the accuracy of tax returns. Any deficiency found during audit will have to be paid by the taxpayer. Withholding tax is collected from the payor who withholds a certain percentage from the payee to serve as an advance tax payment. The creditable withholding tax is more or less the tax due in a transaction, both from an employee compensation and non-employee payment. The final withholding tax, on the other hand, is the amount withheld by the payor and remitted to BIR that represents the final tax due in the transaction. Interest income, dividends, and payments to non-resident foreign income recipient are some examples of the FWT. Tax requirements differ depending on taxpayer and tax types, but whether you're an individual or non-individual taxpayer, paying your taxes is as easy as RFP. Register, file, and pay. Individuals registering with the BIR for the first time by reason of employment are required to register within 10 days from the date of employment. Simply accomplish BIR form number 1902 and submit it, together with complete documentary requirements, to the employer. The employer shall then register the employee online using the Bureau's e-registration system. For business taxpayers, including online sellers, register your business in 3 easy steps. First, submit duly accomplished BIR form number 1901 for individual taxpayer and form number 1903 for non-individual, as well as other requirements at the new business registrant counter of the Revenue District Office, who has jurisdiction over the place of your business. Second, pay the annual registration fee of 500 pesos, documentary stamp tax, and, if the taxpayer wishes to purchase, the BIR printed receipt invoice. And lastly, receive the certificate of registration and other documents. It is important that you file and pay your taxes on time. The income tax shall be filed quarterly and annually. The value-added tax shall be filed monthly and quarterly. And lastly, the percentage tax shall only be filed quarterly. Filing and payment may be done manually or electronically using eBIR forms and the electronic filing and payment system. For the convenience of the tax-paying public, several modes of tax payments are also made available. Taxpayers can pay through authorized agent banks, e-payment channels, or through revenue collection officers. For an even more comprehensive guide on the process, be sure to check out our detailed tax guides available for download at the official BIR website. There you can see complete requirements you need to submit, depending on your taxpayer type, the tax rates, as well as schedules and detailed instructions on filing and payment of taxes. To know more about the Bureau, visit our website at www.bir.gov.ph. You may also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at BIRGovPH and subscribe to our YouTube channel, BIRGovPHL. In today's economy, constant improvement is a must. And sure enough, this is something that the Bureau of Internal Revenue has been taking into heart in its dedication to provide excellent service. One of these improvements is its mission of digital transformation. In response to the Secretary of Finance's call for the Bureau to sustain its efforts towards completely modernizing tax administration, to make tax compliance easier in line with Republic Act or RA number 11032, or an act of promoting ease of doing business and efficient delivery of government services. The BIR has developed the Digital Transformation, or DX Roadmap, through a series of briefings, trainings, and consultation workshops, anchored on 3 principles, namely, adopting a people-first approach, instituting a process perspective, and embracing technology. The program has 2 phases. Phase 1 starts from 2020 to 2023, and continuing with Phase 2 on 2024 to 2030. Each phase comprises of two major themes with corresponding outcomes. Phase 1 focuses on the themes People First and Elevated Taxpayer Experience, and Anytime, Anywhere Taxpayer Service. Meanwhile, Phase 2 will focus on strengthening the BIR digital organization and infrastructure, and leveraging taxpayer data for managing tax services. Each of the BIR DX Roadmap's 4 programs has its own corresponding initiative. First, to elevate taxpayer experience and innovate BIR processes, to drive efficiency on BIR internal processes, to reformulate BIR policies and National Internal Revenue Code, to enable BIR's digital transformation, and to adopt and integrate digital technology into the BIR. With the Bureau venturing into e-services and its improvement, among other infrastructure projects and developments, the BIR is well on its way to its full digital transformation. To know more about the Bureau, visit our website at www.bir.gov.ph. You may also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at BIRGovPH and subscribe to our YouTube channel, BIRGovPHL. Paying your taxes is a way for you to contribute to the betterment of society. It is vital in ensuring that our public services are well funded and running smoothly. Ultimately, it is the law. In its mission of providing a clean and effective tax administration to the people, the Bureau of Internal Revenue is also responsible for making sure that taxpayers are abiding by the tax regulations and are paying their fair share of taxes. One of these programs is the Run After Tax Evaders, or RATE program, which ensures that tax evaders are dealt with accordingly. Under this program, the BIR investigates criminal violations of the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997 and provides assistance in the prosecution of criminal cases. For the period July 2016 to September 2020, 686 RATE cases were filed with DOJ, with estimated tax liabilities of 79.38 billion pesos. Another one is the Oplan Candado program, which seeks to deal with non-compliant business who fail to register, issue receipts, file tax returns, underdeclared taxable sales by 30% or more, and other violations. This program was able to collect 3.63 billion pesos and closed 1,261 business establishments for the period July 2016 to September 2020. The BIR also has other tax enforcement programs in place. These include the BIR Strike Team, which was able to seize over 3 million packs of illegally produced cigarettes, apprehended over 1.3 billion pieces of bogus tax stamps, deterred 46.3 billion pesos of tax losses, and confiscated a total of 38 unauthorized cigarette-making machines. And lastly, the Philippine Offshore Gaming Operators, or POGO Task Force, which was able to collect 6.42 billion pesos in 2019, 168% higher than the previous year. The task force was also responsible for the closure of 3 illegal POGO service providers and the issuance of 170 letter notices, with a total estimated final withholding tax liability amounting to 27.35 billion pesos in the same year. These numbers only prove how serious the BIR is in implementing its tax regulations. So if you're planning on violating our tax laws, you better think twice. To know more about the Bureau, visit our website at www.bir.gov.ph. You may also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at BIRGovPH and subscribe to our YouTube channel, BIRGovPHL. Do you have questions regarding the tax filing, registration, and payment process? Are you interested to know updates about the BIR and tax administration? Are there any concerns that you would like the Bureau to address? There are several ways you can reach the BIR and access any tax information you might need. Just by typing www.bir.gov.ph, the BIR website, you will have access to everything you need to know about the tax laws and their implementing regulations. Quick links to the tax code, latest zonal value of real properties, and BIR forms are available in the BIR website, as well as information on taxpayer registration requirements, filing of tax returns, and payment of taxes. Link to the BIR's various e-services, such as the Electronics Filing and Payment System, or EFPS, and the eBIR forms are also available on the BIR website. Various information materials can also be accessed via the BIR website, such as primers, flyers, media releases, BIR newsletters, BIR updates and BIR weekender briefs, and BIR annual report. Updates on tax deadlines, new revenue issuances, and other BIR-related news can also be accessed through the BIR social media channels, Facebook and Twitter. Informative videos on how to file tax returns and pay taxes online are also available in the Bureau's YouTube channel. In addition to providing taxpayers with digital and print-based information materials, the Bureau has never been remiss in giving taxpayers an opportunity for face-to-face interaction with revenuers. These are continuously being done through taxpayer service counters in each revenue district office, where all types of tax queries and concerns are entertained, as well as briefings, lectures, and one-on-one meetings with taxpayers are conducted. In this time of pandemic, the Bureau has quickly adapted to new norms. The BIR now has e-appointment online facility. Taxpayers of selected BIR offices can now request, schedule, and book for an online virtual meeting with revenue officials and personnel through the BIR's e-appointment facility. For clarifications and other tax-related concerns, taxpayers may directly contact the Customer Assistance Division, or CAD, by sending an email at contactus@bir.gov.ph or calling its various telephone numbers. With all of the various BIR communication channels readily available for you to access, the Bureau has never been more within reach. So if you have any concerns regarding your taxes, or just looking to get the latest updates on anything BIR, we've got you covered. Magandang hapon po. Our program will begin shortly. Thank you. Good afternoon. Magsisimula po ang ating programa with a short prayer to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Sama-sama sa hamon ng panahon, buwis ko para sa Pilipino, the 2021 BIR Tax Campaign Kickoff. Please welcome Vince, Gold, Mattel, and John.
Paunin ang aral ng kahapon, dahil kung tayo ay magkakaisa, maliwanag ang bukas, lahat may pag-asa.
Sino pa ba ang tutugon para sabay-sabay ang pagbangon? Progreso ang ating ambisyon, sama-sama sa hamon ng panahon.
Ang buwis ko'y para sa Pilipino, lakas at galing, sipag talino, ibibigay ko tapat na serbisyo, alay sa bayan, utak ko at puso. Itaas ang noo at huwag mangamba,
Maglingkod ng may ngiti, dala ay saya.
buwis na binayad para sa bayan. Pilipino ang makikinabang, sino pa ba ang tutugon para sabay-sabay ang pagbangon? Progreso ang ating ambisyon, sama-sama sa hamon ng panahon. Ang buwis ko'y para sa Pilipino, lakas at galing, sipag talino, ibibigay ko tapat na serbisyo, alay sa bayan, utak at puso. Ang buwis ko'y para sa Pilipino, lakas at galing, sipag talino, ibibigay ko tapat na serbisyo, alay sa bayan, utak ko at puso.
Good afternoon! Narito po ang isang espesyal na ulat mula sa DZRH, Deo Macalma!
Magandang araw po sa ating mga tagapakinig at mga nanonood. Ako po si Deo Macalma. Kumusta na po ba kayo? Aba, natapos na ang 2020. Salamat naman. Sigurado kong di nyo makalimutan ang taon na yan. Aba pagpasok pa lamang ng taon ay binulaga din tayo ng mga pagsabog ng taal. Naku, ang dami na apektuhan dyan. At hindi pa tayo nakakahinga. Eto naman, at nagsimula na ang virus mga bandang February. Ayaw tayong tantanan at sa gitna ng pandemic. Sunod-sunod namang bagyo ang dumaan sa Pilipinas. Si Ulysses, naku, napakaraming naapektuhan. Pero mga kaibigan tuloy lang ang buhay. Napalood ang bayan, pero bangon lang. Kailangan lamang magsama-sama tayo at harapin ang hamon ng panahon. No other way around it. Buti na nga lang ay may mga ahensya ng pamahalaan na tuloy-tuloy ang trabaho at paglilingkod. At ayon sa aking bubit, ang Bureau of Internal Revenue sa unang pagkakataon simula noong 2003 ay naka-goal noong 2020. Lampas pa sa goal ang nakolekta ng BIR. Tingnan mo nga naman yan. Napakahalaga niyan at ang buwis ang nagpapatakbo sa ating bayan para sa mga programa ng pamahalaan. Narito po ang mga detalye mula sa ating reporter na si Apollo Abraham. Apollo.
Salamat, Kadeo. Tama ang iyong bubuit. Ayon sa nakalap kong report, lampas sa goal ang nakolekta ng BIR noong 2020. 1.95 trillion pesos ang kabuuang nakolekta ng BIR noong 2020. Ito ay lampas sa kanilang goal na mahigit sa 264 billion pesos.
Aba, Apollo. Aba, dahil pala nakolekta ng BIR. Aba, madami-daming kalsada at tulayan na marami magamit sa Build program ng pamahalaan.
Tama ka, Deo. At tingnan niyo po itong infographic na ito. Ang koleksyon na yan ang first time na makagol ang BIR in 17 years. Ang huling goal nila ay nangyari pa noong 2003. Ang tax effort ng Bureau noong 2020 na nasa 10.72 ay hindi lumalayo sa mga naunang tax efforts nito noong mga nakaraang taon. Balik sa iyo, Kadeo!
Salamat, Apollo. Aba nga naman, palakpakan natin ang mga kawani ng BIR sa napakagandang performance na noong 2020. Pandemya, bagyo, taal, aba trabaho lang sila para sa bayan. Ang tanong naman na aking bubit, paano ba nila nagawa yun? Narito muli ang ating field reporter, si Apollo Abraham.
Salamat, Kadeo! Ako ay nag-research at nagtanong-tanong kung paano nga ginawa ng BIR na makagol noong 2020. Ang una ay dahil sa kanilang strict monitoring programs. Nakabantay kumbaga ang BIR sa ating mga taxpayers. Meron silang tinatawag na Taxpayer Account Management Program or TAMP. Binantayan din nilang mabuti ang withholding remittances at gumagamit sila ng mga online facilities at nakipag-meeting sa mga taxpayers via Zoom or personal calls. Nagkaroon din ng mga BIR intensified audit and enforcement activities. Pinabilis ang proseso ng pag-audit at pagresolba ng mga protesta. Ang run after tax evaders at ang Oplan Kandado ay lalo din pinaigting. Nako, hindi umubra mga tiwaling taxpayers at mga may-ari ng negosyo. Kaso sa korte at pagsasarado ng kanilang mga establishments ang kanilang inabot.
Kaya po mga kababayan, ingat tayo sa rape, ha? Abay, dapat naman kasi magbayad po tayo ng tamang buwis para tulong na rin sa ating gobyerno at para mas marapang proyekto ang mapupunduhan ng ating pamahalaan.
Malaki rin ang nakolekta ng BIR mula sa mga POGO. Noon ngang 2020 ay 2 POGO entities ang naipasara at dito nakakolekta ang BIR ng mahigit sa 7 billion pesos.
Ang galing-galing mga taga-BIR ngayon, ha? Abay, pati pala sa POGO, ang laki na nakolekta ng BIR. Abay, dapat lang talaga. Abay, kumikita sila, dapat lang sila na magbayad ng buwis sa ating gobyerno.
Tama ka, Deo. Bukod dyan, umarangkada ang BIR strike team at nakahuli ng mga peking tax stamps sa mga sigarilyo. Malaki din ang ambag nito sa koleksyon ng BIR. Tumaas din ang bilang ng mga nakafile gamit ang EFPS at eBIR forms. Dahil may pandemya, ready ang BIR sa mga dagdag na e-payment channels kaya naging ligtas ang pagbabayad ng taxes last year. Dahil sa mga programang ito, mataas ang ease of doing business grade ng BIR at nabigyan ng 85% satisfaction rating ng ARTA. At eto pa, the BIR was given commendation for 100% resolution rate by 8888 Office of the President Complaint. Nagkaroon din ng programa ang BIR para tumulong sa mga naapektuhan ng pandemya. Isa dito ang Small Business Wage Subsidy Program na nagbigay ng subsidy sa mga empleyado ng maliliit na negosyong tinamaan ng pandemya. Sumuporta din ang BIR sa Bayanihan Act sa pamamagitan ng pag-issue ng tax-related provision. Kadeo, ang lahat ng ito ay pinamumunuan ni BIR Commissioner Cesar Dulay, 10 ng kanyang mga kawani sa BIR. Nagdagdag pa ng kawani ang BIR last year upang matugunan ang pangangailangan ng ating mga taxpayers. Sa katunayan, noong 2020, nakatanggap ang BIR ng ilang prestigious awards in the field of resource management. Yan po ang aking ulat. Ako po si Apollo Abraham. Balik sa'yo, Kadeo Macalma.
Ayun naman pala. Monitoring, audit efforts. Siyempre, merong mga enforcement programs yan, ha? Naku, wag natin dapat na antayin na maray tayo at makasuhan. Kailangan ay compliance. At naniniwala naman ako nga marami tayong kababayan at malalaking taxpayers na talaga namang compliant. Mga nagbabayad ng tamang buwis sa tamang oras. Kaya salamat din sa inyo na nagbabayad ng mga taxes. Ang susunod na tanong na aking bubit, ano naman kaya ang masasabi ni Commissioner Cesar Billy Dulay sa kanilang 2020 performance at sa ilang mainit na issues tungkol sa BIR. Samahan niyo po ako at ating kakausapin ng live si BIR, si Apo Commissioner Billy Dulay. Salamat po. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. At ako po si Deo Macalma. At kami po ay live nasa PICC ngayon dito sa Meeting Room 1. At siyempre, kasama po natin ang magandang commissioner, magandang lalaking commissioner ng BIR, si Apo Commissioner Cesar Billy Dulay. Apo Commissioner Sir, magandang hapon po. Naimbag na malam, Apo Commissioner Sir.
Naimbag na malam mo, Deo. Magandang hapon po sa lahat ng nasa Facebook live ngayon.
O nga pala, Commissioner, bago ang lahat ay magpasalamat tayo sa lahat ng mga nanonood ngayon sa Facebook Live. Magandang hapon po sa inyo. At bago po kami pumasok dito sa PICC, mga kaibigan, alam po nyo na mahigpit pala ang health protocols dito, ha? Kami po ay sumailalim sa swab testing. Ayan. So lahat po ng mga health protocols ay nasunod po rito sa pagpasok namin dito sa PICC. Mahigpit. Pati si Commissioner, wala pong kawala, ha? Siya po ay sumailalim din sa testing kanina at sa ating mga bisita at mabuti naman at negative po ang resulta ng aming COVID testing. Anyway, Commissioner Apo Billy, ayan, kumusta po kayo?
Sa panahon ng COVID ngayon, Deo, salamat sa Diyos. Hindi pa naman tayo tinatamaan ng COVID-19. At ang panalangin natin, sana itong pandemya na ito matapos na at makabalik tayo sa normal na pamumuhay natin.
At una nga pala, Commissioner, congratulations, ha? At nakagoal ang BIR nitong 2020. At in fact, may resolution ang House of Representatives at kinocongratulate at kinocommend ang BIR under your leadership, Commissioner Cesar, at ang entire economic team ng ating Pangulong Digong Duterte, His Excellency, for achieving an all-time high of 15.14% over its tax collection target. Commissioner, ano ba ang sikreto ninyo? Ano ba ang ginawa ninyo at sobra-sobra pa sa inyong goal, target, ang inyong collection ng BIR?
Well, unang-una, ako, representing yung mga kasama ko sa BIR, kami po ay nagpapasalamat sa parangal ng binigay ng House of Representatives. Sa totoo lang, ang mga kasama ko dyan, trabaho lang. It's a team effort. Kasi alam mo naman yung mga BIR, kwan yan eh. Halos sa dami namin, they contribute mga 20 years average experience sa paglikom ng buwis. So sila talaga ang gumawa dyan ng magandang performance. At unang-una rin, nagpapasalamat rin kami kay Secretary Dominguez kasi sobra-sobra, full support siya sa mga gawain namin sa BIR. Kaya yan, kahit pandemic, itong 2020, nagawa namin ang pagkolekta ng maganda-ganda para sa bayan.
At speaking of BIR, Apo Commissioner Dulay, sir, ang mga leaders at mga empleyado po ng BIR sa buong Pilipinas ay nakatutok po sa atin ngayon at nandyan po sa head office ng BIR sa Quezon City ang ating mga deputy commissioners at mga assistant commissioners. Ayan, kumusta po kayo? Deputy Commissioner Arnel Gubalya. Palakpakan po natin. At si Deputy Commissioner Marisa Cabreros. Si Deputy Commissioner Lani David. At Deputy Commissioner Celia King. Ang lalakas ng palakpak, Commissioner Dulay, ha? Mukhang nag-aabang sila ng bonus. At Commissioner Sir Ayana, ano ba ang biggest challenges ng 2020 sa inyong tanggapan sa BIR?
Well, alam naman natin na first, nung gaya ng nasabi mo, binagyo tayo, tapos may COVID pandemic. Tapos nag-lockdown ng March. So talagang ang challenge is paano makagalaw ang ating mga kasama para tuloy ang trabaho sa pangungulekta ng buwis. Ang isang challenge is pati yung mga taxpayers natin hindi rin makagalaw. Kahit gusto magbayad, sarado yung mga bangko. But over time, natugunan natin yung problema, yung challenge na yon. And it can be shown doon sa performance natin. Kung mamarapatin mo, for example,
Yes, sir.
biglang gumaling yung mga tiga-BIR sa paggamit ng cellphone at saka salamat kila Globe at saka sa Smart, maayos yung serbisyo. Gumawa kami ng mga Viber group para ma-monitor namin ang trabaho ng bawat isa. At sila rin, ginagamit rin nila yon para ma-monitor yung mga taxpayers. Sinasabihan nila, deadline na ito ang dapat nating gawin. Nag-extend kami ng deadline. Basta't lingkod publiko para sa mga taxpayers.
Gumamit ba, Commissioner, ng mga text para palalahanan yung mga taxpayers natin na magbayad na ng buwis on time?
Gumana yan, Deo. In fact, maraming ako nare-receive rin na kahit doon sa malalayo, tumutugon ang mga taxpayers natin sa mga paalaala ng BIR. Ang isang sabi nga ng isang regional director, presence. alam nilang nandun kami natutulong sa kanila.
Commissioner, ito po ay mabigat. Ang sabi ng Pangulong Digong Duterte, ang tanggapan ng BIR, kasama na po ang Bureau of Customs at LTO, ang sabi ng ating Pangulong Duterte po ay isa daw po sa mga pinakakurap na agency ang Bureau of Internal Revenue. Ano po ang masasabi po ninyo, Commissioner Billy Dulay, sir?
Deo, nung ako ay in the point ni Presidente, ang unang bitaw niya sa akin is, sige Bill, linisin mo yung BIR kasi hindi maganda ang reputasyon. Kaya naman, proceeding on that order and mandate, ang unang-unang ginawa ko is kinausap ko at sinabi ko na kayo mga kasama ko, alam kong magagaling kayo at alam nyo ang trabaho. Pero meron mga ilan-ilan na bulok na kamatis ang tawag ko dyan at sila ang nakakasira sa pangalan nyo. Kaya sabi ko, tulungan nyo ako na linisin itong ahensya. And I have done that. In fact, lately, alam mo Deo, hindi ba sinabi ni Presidente na mag-reshuffle ka, lagay mo sa freezer, kung may mga tiwali pa dyan, inaamin ko naman na meron pa rin mga tiwali sa BIR. So ang ginagawa ko, alam naman ng mga tiga BIR ito, pag freezer ko yung isang tao, alam na nila yon. Pag may denunciation na dumadating sa akin, tinatawag ko yung tao at alam na rin ng mga tiga BIR yon kung bakit. So tuloy-tuloy ang laban against corruption. Medyo hindi madaling eradicate ang ginagamit na term, pero tuloy-tuloy ang laban. At sa ating mga kasama, ang aking mga kasama diyan sa ahensya, alam nila yan. At hanggang ngayon, pinapakiusap ko sa kanila na bantayan para maibalik yung magandang pangalan ng BIR at lumabas at get back yung mga medyong nawawala sa landas sa amin.
May mga sinuspendi po ba kayo? May mga tinanggal po ba kayo, Apo Commissioner?
Marami na rin na Lakay-Deo. Lingid sa alam ni Presidente nung binigay niya yung utos na yon, sabi niya mag-reshuffle ka. Taon-taon nagre-reshuffle ako. Sa tulong rin ng NBI at saka lately ng PACC, may mga nahuli in the act. Wow. Tanggal ka agad yun. Yung mga tiwali. Kaya yung mensahe na gusto namin ipaalam sa mga tiwaling BIR, nandun. At tuloy, kailangan magbantay sila kasi hindi nila alam na meron magsusumbong sa akin o sa ibang ahensya ng gobyerno kung gumagawa sila ng kalokohan.
At nitong panahon ng pandemic naman na Apo Commissioner, Sir, ayan abay, paano kayo nakapag-adapt? Ano ang ginagawa ninyo? Dahil siyempre, hostage kayo ni Mrs. Dulay sa bahay. So, ano naman ang pinagagawa ninyo? May mga natutunan ba kayo? Lalo bang naging maganda ang banding nyo ni Mrs. Dulay at inyong mga anak? Apo Commissioner, Sir.
Ay, nako Deo, yan ang pinakamagandang nangyari sa pandemic. Ang tinatawag ko at least, at sabi rin ng mga kaibigan natin, yung family bonding. At dahil hindi ka makalabas, nandun yung pamilya mo, Kakain kayo sabay-sabay, nagkwekwentuhan kayo sabay-sabay, nagdadasal sabay-sabay. Pinakamaganda sa akin, nag-improve, lumakas yung apostolate ko, Deo.
Apostolic job.
Apostolate kasi napatira yung 2 apo ko doon sa bahay. Kaya masaya tayo doon sa, yun ang positive na maganda sa pandemic.
Pero sabi ng aking Bubit Commissioner sa BIR, kahit na may pandemic, kahit hostage kayo ni Mrs. Dulay sa bahay, pumupuslid daw kayo at pumapasok pa rin sa BIR, sa inyong opisina. Totoo ba yan, Commissioner, sir?
Totoo yan, Deo. Alam naman ng mga kasama ko sa ahensya na araw-araw ako pumasok nung medyo gumaan ng konti, nag-GCQ, basta't may observance ng protocol, safety protocols, kailangan tayo pumasok, Deo, kasi alam mo, marami rin tayong taxpayers na gustong makipag-meeting at matugunan yung mga problema nila. So, nandun ako, alam ng mga taxpayers na kung makipag-appointment sila, nandun ako sa opisina. Bukod dyan, gusto ko rin kita sa mga kasama natin sa BIR na habang basta't nag-o-observe tayo ng safety protocols, mas productive kami kung nasa opisina kami. Kasi matutugunan namin yung mga tanong ng mga taxpayer. Iba yung iba yung nandyan sila kaysa yung Zoom, nag-zoom kayo ng mga taxpayer. Hindi effective yun. Yung Zoom, para sa mga meeting namin, kami-kami, effective rin yun. Salamat talaga sa yung technology ng digitalization.
Ayan. Pero Commissioner Dulay, sir, ayan, ang challenge this year ay masungkit ulit ang inyong goal. Pero mabigat yata itong goal ninyo ngayong 2021, ha? Secretary Sunny Dominguez, sir, dahil ang goal yata ay kailangan ay umabot kayo ng 2.081 trillion pesos. Ayan, paano nyo gagawin itong challenge na ito, Commissioner, sir? Paano nyo ma-achieve itong target ninyong ito?
Yung mga programa namin, Deo, hindi namin babaguhin yun. They have proven to be effective. Yung mga TAMP, yung mga Oplan Candado, rate, yung mga CRM POS monitoring. Pero ang magandang nangyayari sa amin ngayon is improve yung digitalization program namin. Last year, at nakita mo naman doon sa report na ang ganda ng collection namin dahil sa digitalization. Nagbukas kami ng maraming payment channels, hindi na nahihirapan ng taxpayer, text mo lang o nakukuha mo, na-file mo yung return mo, na-file mo yung bayad mo. Tuloy-tuloy namin gagawin yan for 2021. At ang plano namin, i-improve pa namin yan with the cooperation and help of our partners.
At ano pa yung mensahe sa ating mga taxpayers, Commissioner Dulay, sir?
Ako po ay nagpapasalamat with the cooperation given by our taxpayers. Meron kasi akong programa na encouraging compromise agreements that is allowed by law. Nag-respond yung mga taxpayers natin. Diyan, gusto rin nila makatulong, basta maganda ang usapan at saka within the law, yun ang nakatulong. So ngayong 2021, tuloy-tuloy, ito nga ay appeal to the taxpayers to take advantage first of the amnesty And second, to the program of compromise agreement. After all, sabi rin ni Presidente yan nung umpisa, Deo.
Opo.
Sinabi rin niya na mas maganda yung mag-compromise kaysa yung magkaso-kaso kayo. As long as the compromise agreement is within the parameters of the law, legal na compromise.
Paano nga pala, Commissioner Dulay, sir, yung mga alam po namin itong pandemic, maraming kumpanya ang nalugi, marami po ang nagsara. Ayan. So, may consideration po ba? Ano ba ang magluluwag ba ang BIR para sa kanila na yun po mga hindi makabayad ng buwis dahil nalugi nga po sila, Commissioner, sir?
Pwedeng, that's a policy matter na pwede naming pag-usapan ni Secretary Dominguez kasi policy. Pero kahit wala pa yan, marami na ring pumunta sa amin. Kung may mga penalties lang, dahil sa pandemic, maganda naman yung rason, we consider it. Tinitingnan namin, kinakausap ko yung mga kasama natin, mga regional directors, mga RDOs na tawag nila, at sabi ko, pakitingnan nyo nga yung problema and be open because of the situation na pandemic tayo ngayon.
Thank you, Commissioner Cesar Dulay, sir. At para po may paliwanag ang mga plano, programa ng BIR para sa taong 2021, narito po ang mga BIR Deputy Commissioners sa kanilang report.
Sa operations group, sa amin, sa 2021, nandun pa rin yung monitoring. Kasi ang monitoring, ito yung pinaka-buod ng operations. Kasi pagka namomonitor natin ang mga taxpayers, nagkakaroon yung behavior nila ay medyo naiiba. Pag alam nilang nakatutok ang BIR, yung compliance nila ay mataas. So, phases naman yan eh. Yugto-yugto yung monitoring. Una, registration. Tinitingnan na ng operations group yung mga taxpayer na kung sino yung dapat mag-register. And then yung filing na obligasyon ng taxpayer na mag-file. And then pay, magbayad. So itong tatlong yugto na to ay minomonitor yan. So sa operations group, yan ang aking laging pinamomonitor. Dahil sa monitoring, medyo maganda yung ating koleksyon dahil alam ng taxpayer na nakabantay ang ating mga auditors, ang ating mga tauhan sa bureau na laging from time to time nakikipag-dialogue pa sila sa ating mga taxpayer at sila din ang nagpapaalala na Mr. Taxpayer, bakit po bumaba yung binayaran nyo ngayong buwan kumpara doon sa nakaraan? Pwede po bang malaman namin kung anong dahilan?
Siyempre, gusto ng BIR compliant ang ating mga taxpayer. Sa legal wing ng ating BIR, ang mandatos natin is i-ensure ng ating mga taxpayer is nagbabayad ng tama at nagbabayad sa tamang oras. If not, kailangan ho naming mag-file ng kaso against our taxpayer. Ayaw rin naman namin na mahahassle kayo kasi kami rin po is natatagalan sa disposisyon ng mga legal cases natin. So the soonest na we settle po yung ating liability, the less hassle na you get entangled with the legal arm of the BIR. Ngayong 2021, pagtitibayin pa rin namin at itutuloy ang aming rate or run after tax evaders program. Sa ganitong paraan, namin mai-ensure na lagi kayong magiging compliant sa batas, lalo na sa ating mga tax laws. Para ho lahat mag-comply, wag na ho nating maabot na ma-rate pa tayo kasi kailangan namin gawin na mag-file ng criminal cases pag hindi kayo sumunod.
Last year, because of the pandemic, we had to accelerate our digital transformation, which we started in 2019. So this year, we'll just have to continue with those projects which we started last year, and then of course improve on our e-filing and e-payment. Well, that is our mandate naman sa Information Systems Group. We have to improve taxpayer experience through the use of our electronic filing and payment channels. Also, I'm excited about this USTDA grant because this is for BIR ICT modernization, enterprise architecture, and another one is yung aming restructuring of our group, no? So this will really help the BIR improve its services to the taxpayer. So last year we had this Hackatax project, and this is actually the first hackathon of the Bureau of the BIR. And this year, we are planning to roll out yung mga winning entries sa Hackatax. So because of this Hackatax project, our taxpayers may now file and pay their returns through these mobile apps.
For RMG, the most important, of course, is your expedite recruitment and promotion to fill up all vacant positions, to increase the number of employees who will now serve the taxpayers all over the Philippines. As much as possible, we want to have the best applicants in the BIR because we want competent and skilled workers to attend to the taxpayers' need. Our major program is RMG being in charge of budgets. We have to see to it as much as possible that all budget requirements of the different offices in the BIR is attended to, given the limited resources that DBM have allocated to the BIR. There must be unity not only on the operations group, but with our group being in charge of administration, we have to, a support group, we have to attend to the requirements of the operations group, give the number of people that they need.
For our people in the Information Systems Group, so what I'm telling them is to continue their training, improve their skills, kasi that's what we need right now because of the advanced technology. So we have to be adaptive, And of course, we need to work together as a team. So yun ang kailangan namin ngayon.
Mahalaga ang teamwork kasi pagka may teamwork, sama-sama tayo at saka nagkakaroon tayo ng iisang direksyon.
Kailangan lang ng sama-samang effort ng BIR at sama-samang pakikiisa ng ating taxpayers.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Secretary of the Department of Finance, Carlos G. Dominguez.
Finance Undersecretary Antoinette Tionco, Commissioner Cesar Dulay of the Bureau of Internal Revenue, Chairman Manuel Pangilinan of the PLDT, Chairman Justo Ortiz of Union Bank of the Philippines, Chairman Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala of Ayala Corporation, Chairman and CEO Enrique Razon of the International Container Terminal Services, Inc., President Ramon Ang of San Miguel Corporation, distinguished guests, fellow workers in government, friends in the media, good afternoon. We have a great task ahead of us beginning today. Our country needs to collect as much revenue as possible to fund the comprehensive effort to defeat the pandemic and support public investments to help our economy recover. The great tasks falls on the shoulders of our revenue agencies, especially the Bureau of Internal Revenue. What we will accomplish this year will greatly matter for our nation's future. The past year has been most difficult period of our nation in a long time. Threatened by an unprecedented public health crisis, we needed to restrict movements within our borders to save lives and protect our communities while beefing up our healthcare capacity. This decision came at a huge cost to the economy and the Filipino people. With business activity down, we adjusted our collection targets and negotiated for emergency loans to cover our deficit. Fortunately, both the Bureau of Customs and the Bureau of Internal Revenue rose to the challenge of raising taxes to sufficiently fund our efforts to protect our people's health, recover livelihoods, and rebuild our economy. Our revenue agencies kept our nation's lifeblood flowing. To the credit of the Bureau of Internal Revenue and the able leadership of Commissioner Billy Dulay, our main revenue agency was able to overshoot its revised collection target by 15.7% in 2020. That accomplishment goes a long way in reinforcing our fiscal position. Among the initiatives that the Bureau undertook the past year was to digitalize the collection process. This was fortuitous. With its developed information infrastructure, the Bureau was able to perform its functions despite the limitations posed by the community quarantines. The pandemic fast-tracked the application of new technologies for tax payments and settlements. The Bureau of Internal Revenue was not behind in this transformation. In 2020, 85% of total tax payments were coursed through electronic channels. This is indicative of an irreversible trend. Meanwhile, almost 100% of tax reforms were filed online. This is compared to just 43% in 2015. I am confident that the agency will continue to make progress in applying digital technologies for all its processes. This will enhance efficiency throughout the agency. Yesterday, we signed the grant agreement with the United States Trade and Development Agency that will assist the digital transformation of the Bureau of Internal Revenue. We look forward to receiving much more support from our development partners to achieve cutting-edge digital capacity, not only for the Bureau, but also for all government agencies. The age of digital governance has dawned. The Bureau of Internal Revenue would not have posed such praiseworthy performance without the heroic cooperation of our taxpayers, especially our large taxpayers who are present here today. Our diligent taxpayers make the great task of collecting revenues much lighter. Your patriotism will not go unrecognized. Now more than ever, the whole nation relies on the Bureau of Internal Revenue's bold commitment to provide the revenues needed to support our people and push our country forward toward a strong economic recovery. This year, we set 2.08 trillion peso collection target for the Bureau of Internal Revenue. With the digitalization, improved administrative systems, and the dedication of the men and women of the Bureau, I have no doubt that the target will not be just met, but will be exceeded again. Thank you to all my colleagues in the Bureau of Internal Revenue, and best wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Carlos Dominguez. Mga kaibigan, para handugan tayo ng ilang awitin, narito si Jason D.
Tanong ang isip, di ro maintindihan kung anong nararamdaman. Dapat mong malaman, sa puso ko'y ikaw lamang ang isang pangangamba. Dapat bang isipin walang hanggan? Asahan mo na kahit kailan hindi kita iiwan. Di kita pababayaan kahit kailan, kahit kailan. Pulong ng iyong damdamin, pag-ibig na walang hanggan, ang siyang nais kong makamtan. Ngayon ay narito ako, handang umibig sa iyo na walang katapusan. Pangangamba, dapat bang isipin walang hanggan? Asahan mo na kahit kailan hindi kita iiwan. Kahit kailan hindi kita pababayaan. Kahit kailan, kung ikaw ay mawala sa piling ko, di na alam kung kakayanin pa kayang umibig pang muli. Kahit na ano pang mangyayari, di maaring ipagpalit. Sasamahan pa kita hanggang sa huli. Kahit kailan hindi kita iiwan. Kahit kailan hindi kita pababayaan. Kahit kailan hindi magbabago. Kahit kailan. Kahit kailan.
Maraming salamat po. Thank you guys so much. Good afternoon, everyone here at the PICC and everyone watching through the live stream. Magandang hapon po sa inyo. Thank you so much for having me here this afternoon. It's an honor to be performing in front of you guys. Once again, maraming salamat po. I prepared a couple of songs for you and I hope you enjoy the songs that I prepared. This next song that I'll be singing for you guys is a classic. I'm sure marami pong nakakaalam dito sa kantang to. So, sana po ay kung alam niyo yung song, sabayan niyo po ako sa pagkanta. This is for all of you.
Someday, when I'm awfully low and the world is cold, I will feel the glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. You're lovely with your smile so warm and your cheeks so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you and the way you look tonight. With each word, your tenderness grows, tearing my fears apart. And that laugh that wrinkles your nose touches my foolish heart. Lovely, never, never change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love you and the way you look tonight. With each word, your tenderness grows, tearing my fears apart. And that laugh that wrinkles your nose, it touches my foolish heart. Lovely, never, never, never change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love you and the way you look tonight.
Thanks again so much. Maraming salamat po. This next song that I'll be performing for you is a personal favorite, and it really speaks to the theme of this event. Ano, sama-sama sa hamon ng panahon. I know we've been through a very tough year last year, but as Filipinos, we are strong and we are resilient, and we'll get through anything as long as sama-sama po tayo. And basta magsama-sama po tayo together, we will all rise up. This is for you guys.
You're broken down and tired of living life in a merry-go-round, and you can find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we can walk it out. Move mountains, we can walk it out. Move mountains, and I'll rise up high like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. We'll take it to its feet. Move mountains. And I'll rise up high like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope. For that we have each other, and for that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we'll rise, we'll rise, we'll rise. We'll rise up high like the day. We'll rise up in spite of the air. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. We'll rise up high like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. We'll rise up for you. Thank you guys so much. God bless.
The BIR was ready for the challenges of the times through its digital transformation program. The EFPS and the e-payment channels have provided a fast, convenient, and safe way for our taxpayers to comply with their tax obligations. The e-appointment has also been used by the taxpayers to book or schedule meetings with the Bureau. The TIN Verifier app can now be downloaded for easy inquiry and verification. Tax credit certification issuances have also been digitized through the recent launch of ePera system, as well as the online application of TCC for bidding. The Bureau's digital transformation have surely been felt and appreciated by the taxpayers.
I think we've seen how the Bureau has strived to make things easier for all the taxpayers over the years. Our number one positive thought would be the efficiency. Wala na yung mga antayan, mas mabilis na rin yung processes. Everything is, I think, more transparent also and less errors. At even if nagkaroon ng problema, nagagawa na agad ng action. Syempre for businesses, as the business grows, dumadami yung mga filings, payments, and I think with what's in place right now, it's been a very positive experience for most of us.
EFPS and e-payment channels are our most appreciated development and changes in BIR processes. Filing and paying electronically did not just save a lot of time from our end as taxpayers, but also helped decrease administrative operational expenses in complying with our tax obligations.
It is also very advantageous to us because we have more time in preparing the tax returns because the deadlines are later than the other taxpayers.
I'm very glad that online filing and payment have been strengthened during the last few months, as this has allowed me to be flexible in my time without the need to actually visit the banks. It was quite surprising that the new generation of BIR employees are not the typical masungit government officers I've known before. Keep up the good work.
With the EFPS, BIR has a lot of bank partners we can choose from. We can also pay through GCash. This is very useful nowadays because of the COVID-19.
Dito naman sa e-appointment, ito ay napaka-importante dahil sa pandemic. So, maganda rin ito. Pero whether bibigyan ka pa ng tamang oras at kailangan pa magbigay ng SPA pagka may representative ka. So, congratulations. Sana tuloy-tuloy ang pagbabago, pag-improve ng BIR Electronics Operations.
Para sa amin, maraming benepisyo ang dulot ng paggamit ng BIR online services. Sa pamamaraang ito, napabilis ang aming trabaho at di na kailangan pang pumila. Higit sa lahat, sa panahong ngayong pandemya, naging ligtas tayo dahil hindi na kailangang lumabas para magbayad ng bills.
The e-filing of returns and payment of taxes is the most convenient and most effective way for taxpayers in performing their obligations to the country.
The BIR has indeed embraced technological advancements so that Filipinos all over the nation are able to process their tax requirements efficiently and conveniently. In my own experience, I can say that the availability of electronic forms, e-appointment scheduling, and e-payment platforms have allowed our accounting and finance teams to meet our company's tax requirements and obligations without putting our health and safety at risk.
There is no duplication because submitting of tax returns and accounting documentation electronically does not require the duplication in hard copy, and it also avoids errors. Add to that, there is a guaranteed updates coming from the recipient. There are prompt notification and delivery of information.
Thank you very much for all the actions taken to make the taxpayer's life easier, especially this conversion from manual to electronic filing, electronic payment, electronic forms, electronic appointment. This really made our life easier.
The BIR is now more attuned to helping taxpayers and would always there to help us in our needs.
Go, go, BIR for 2021!
BIR's digitalization of their process has truly benefited not just the Bureau, but also the taxpayers. With this, I am excited and I look forward to the other digital transformation programs that the Bureau will offer. We will give our continued support and full commitment to the Bureau to realize our shared goal of moving this nation forward.
The Avoidis Group supports the BIR's digital transformation journey, particularly the electronic invoicing system project mandated under the TRAIN law. Alay sa bayan, utak at puso.
And as a taxpayer, I find the Bureau's electronic filing system convenient and efficient, especially for a busy person like me. Also, because of this e-system, the physical interaction requirement for paying taxes is minimal, which is a good thing since we are currently facing a pandemic situation. So, query, submission, and processing of documents can be accessed and addressed via online. See, our responsibility as taxpayers is now easy to be fulfilled thanks to the initiatives of BIR. That's why we should always do our part. Let's pay our taxes right and on time, because our taxes are for the Filipinos.
Narito pong muli mga kaibigan, si Deo Macalma.
Magandang hapon po nga muli at back to PICC. At ngayon po mga kaibigan, excited na ninenervyos po ako ngayon mga kaibigan dahil iba itong ating makausap natin ngayon. Anyway, welcome back Secretary Sunny Dominguez sir at Commissioner Billy Dulay. At ngayon po mga kaibigan, ngayong hapon ay makasama natin ang mga higante ng Philippine business. At uumpisan ko pong ipakilala itong mga makasama natin ngayon. Ang Vice Chairman ng Union Bank, Dr. Justo A. Ortiz. Welcome po, Dr. Ortiz, sir. At narito rin po sa PICC ngayon kasama namin ang Chairman, President and CEO ng PLDT. At alam mo, Apo Commissioner Billy Dulay, etong taong ito ay gusto kong maging ninong. No other else than MVP Manuel V. Pangilinan. Gandang hapon po, sir. Joining us via Zoom ay ang President ng San Miguel Corporation. Eto, Apo Billy, gusto ko rin maging ninong ito ha? Ayan. Si Boss RSA Ramon Ang. Magandang hapon po sa inyo, sir. At siyempre, kasama din po natin dito ang Chairman and President ng ICTSI at Chairman ng Bloomberry Resource Corporation, EKR, Mr. Enrique K. Razon Jr., sir. Magandang hapon po. And last but not the least, makakausap din natin ang Chairman at CEO ng Ayala Corporation, si Mr. Jasa Jaime Augusto Sobel de Ayala. Buenas tardes, sir. Welcome po at maraming salamat talaga, ha? Talagang medyo po tayo, starstruck po tayo dito sa ating mga bisita ngayon. At talagang sama-sama sa hamon ng panahon ika nga. Kung meron po kayong mga tanong para po sa kanila, pwede po kayong mag-comment dyan po sa FB Live page ng BIR. At sisigampin natin maitanong po ang mga katanungan po niyo para sa kanila. At sisimulan ko na. At ang una nating tatanungin po, mga kaibigan, ang Vice Chairman ng Union Bank, si Dr. Justo Ortiz. Kasi habang naghintay pa kami ng result kanina ng aming swab test, mga kaibigan, medyo napagkwentuhan namin ang Union Bank. At dito ay outstanding po ang Union Bank. Sa kabila po ng pandemya, lalo pang dumami ang kanilang mga depositors. Malalaman natin yan mamaya, ha? Pero ano nga ba ang biggest learnings natin noong 2020 at naging basis nyo for your policies and programs at mga desisyon sa inyong pong mga negosyo? Dr. Ortiz, sir, paano yung ginawa? Ba't lalong dumami ang mga depositors ng Union Bank?
Yeah, thank you, Deo. You know, when we went through the crisis, we started with survival phase and resiliency. And then eventually we had adoption by customers. They began to demand online functionalities when they interact with businesses and with their employers. And with that demand, we finally saw that there were opportunities to build platforms to help, especially SMEs, small and medium enterprises. So we built several platforms. The mother platform is Global Linker, where they could all join an international set of SMEs and learn from each other. A Centro, which is a plug-and-play e-commerce store that gets them up and running in a few minutes. Box, which is a payment gateway across different payment systems. And of course, CCAP, which is the most important, is a lending platform that allows these SMEs to borrow. And the way we did that is put them all into a financial supply chain platform which large corporates would use for trade, both on the distribution channel, and it was all on the blockchain. And because it's on the blockchain, it's transparent, it's immutable. The trade transaction and the payment transaction is one. It's simple, and it's allows for transparency. This is even important when we talk about national tax consciousness. It's apropos to this event because the data in this stream, which allows us to make credit approvals for these SMEs in our CCAP platform, is the same data that can be used to create 2307 creditable withholding tax files and VAT files, etc. Hopefully, we'll reach the point where we can do that automatically and directly without any physical intervention, and it being one source of truth that's verifiable, and that would really make things very simple. So what the pandemic brought is, originally it was crisis. It changed customer and enterprise behavior. But now we're in the process of actually the whole society, both individuals and enterprises, teching up and becoming more productive. And productivity, we know, is the foundation of growth in the future. So I'm quite optimistic that this pandemic, despite the sadness that it brought and the difficulty that it brought to a lot of people because of the public health crisis, is really gonna build a better future for all Filipinos. And the transparency of these platforms will help tax payments going forward. So I think it's it's been a very challenging but very productive 9-10 months. Deo, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ortiz, sir. At si Mr. Manny Pangilinan, sabi na aking bubit, Mr. MVP, sir, sa PLDT, abay, in spite of the pandemic, malaki po ang earnings ng PLDT. Ano po ba ang ginawa po ninyo, Mr. Pangilinan, sir?
Thank you, Deo, for the question. And congratulations to Commissioner for the record collections in 2020. Good news niya kay Commissioner, record profits ang magandang profits ng PLDT. Well, what did we do to accommodate itong mga digital, no?
Apo.
Unang-una, ang kailangan talaga, yung infrastruktura ng telecoms must also be digital. Kung hindi tayo digital, hindi naman pwedeng umubra yung mga digital payments kasi it has to ride on an infrastructure, on a network, di ba? Kanya since 2015, the entire PLDT networks, ina-update na namin to become digital, no? So ngayon, fully digital ng networks ng PLDT from the fixed line network, the wireless network, and our international cable facilities are digital already. Kanya doon sumasakay yung mga different payment channels tulad ng GCash, Paymaya, siguro kayo may payment apps na rin dedicated to BIR and other payment channels that are available sa ating consumers. So, ang magandang balita naman, ang consumers natin, Filipinos are adaptable, flexible sila, and they learn quickly, they're resilient. No? So, madaling matutong Pilipino na gumamit ng digital devices and digital platforms. Kanya yung collection nyo, more than 90% online na, no? Commissioner, and I'm sure Tito also knows that. No? Kaya it was very important that we did this kasi despite the lockdown and the limited mobility of people to transact or to procure goods and services, the digital infrastructure, including the relevant platforms, enable people to pay on a cashless basis or to buy food and get that food delivered digitally, no, online. Kaya importante itong digital infrastructure natin eh. So it's able to lubricate the economy despite the lockdown. I think that's the most valuable lesson flowing from this digital, the importance of this digital infrastructure.
Thank you, sir. At si Boss RSA, ayan na. Ang tanong po natin, Sir RSA, ayan na. Ano po ba ang mga natutunan natin nitong 2020 sa gitna po ng pandemya sa inyong mga policies at yung mga programa po ninyo at ang mga negosyo niyo? Parang ang inyong grupo po sa San Miguel at iba pang business po niyo ay parang hindi po kayo masyadong naapektuhan, Mr. RSA, sir.
Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Congratulations, Commissioner Billy Dulay. A very strong and honest BIR Commissioner. Salamat sa pagmamahal mo sa bayan. Sa San Miguel po, ang concentration po natin, ang natutunan natin ay maging humble. At for the first time in my life, I've experienced na yung mga masasakit na pangyayari na nangyari noong 2020. Namatayan po ako ng anak at 3 beses po ako tinamaan ng COVID-19.
Wow.
At despite of that, tuloy-tuloy pa rin po tayong nagtatrabaho at concentrating to produce more food para hindi maubusan ng pagkain ng mga kababayan natin. At marami din tayong tinulungan mga mahihirap para hindi magutom. At nagtayo rin tayo ng mga laboratory, PCR testing laboratory, para matulungan ng mga kababayan natin at mga empleyado natin. At hindi rin tayo naging madamot sa pagtulong sa mga nangangailangan. Sa negosyo naman po, nahihirapan ho kami. Marami ho talagang paghihirap yung negosyo. Pero sa ganun pa man, dahil sa maayos naman natin pinapatakbo ang negosyo natin, ay magandang kinalabasan. At makakaasa po ang bayan na magpapatuloy po kaming magtrabaho ng mas mabuti para makatulong makapagbayad ng mas marami pa hong taxes. At makakaasa po kayo, natutulong din po ang San Miguel magtayo ng mas marami pang negosyo at magtayo ng mas maraming infrastructure para makagaang sa ating mga kababayan. Napapansin nyo naman yung ating Skyway Stage 3 connector road connecting North Luzon Expressway, NLEX, and SLEX, naging very successful na wala po yung traffic sa EDSA. At pagpapatuloy po natin yung marami pang mga project natin na makakabuti sa ating bayan. Salamat po.
Ayan, maraming salamat Bossing, RSA, at si Sir Enrique Razon. Ang kanyang business yata hindi masyado naapektuhan dahil siyempre tuloy pa rin po ang siyempre mapagdating po sa mga pantalan, Pero itong Bloomberry Resorts Corporation ay parang naapektuhan din po yata. Mr. Enrique Rason, sir, paano hinarap po itong ganitong problema nitong 2020? Paano hinarap itong mga problema natin sa nangyayaring pandemya po ngayon?
Magandang hapon sa inyo lahat at sa iyo, Deo. Yung 2020, may mga negosyo kami na okay naman, may mga hindi okay. Overall, average lang. And nag-umpisa ang pandemic, strategy lang is to survive. Pero we're still in the pandemic, but so far, so good. Gusto ko rin, I'd like to congratulate the BIR for transforming themselves into a digital platform while the pandemic was raging and is still raging. And they as well managed to function and survive in this environment. Hindi lang kami, no? Pati government agencies nag-transform. We're all forced to basically do that. And the focus here is companies that are making money and doing okay to help our countrymen as much as we can, and to help the government and also helping the people. I'm also very impressed with Commissioner Billy Dulay. He's a very professional and straightforward government official who has steered the BIR through all these storms and to come out much more efficient and at the time transforming themselves. But we're still in the midst of the pandemic, and the focus now is to help our countrymen stay in business, to survive, and to eventually vaccinate the population so we can get back to normal life. So,
ayan, Sir Ricky, isang tanong ko lang po. Bukas na po ba ang Soler?
Bukas na, pero limited capacity. Ang Soler, ang negosyo na medyo hindi maganda kasi tao ang public ang pumapasok. Pero ganyan talaga eh. So may negosyo hindi maganda, may negosyo maganda. Si kaibigan ko at partner ko si Ramon, ganun din ang experience. Basta sige lang. At dumaan na tayo sa Asian crisis, financial crisis, puro crisis. Ngayon lang, health crisis. Medyo iba na. So halos lahat na daanan na namin. Pero ganyan talaga eh. So basta sige lang.
Ayan. Thank you, sir. At thank you, sir, Enrique Razon Jr. At ang chairman at CEO ng Ayala Corporation. Congratulations, sir, Sir Jasa, dahil mukhang hindi po yata sila masyadong naapektuhan dahil panay pa rin po ang donate. Nabasa ko sa Philippine Star kanina, nag-donate ang Ayala Group of Companies ng 4.5 million worth ng mga testing kits. Magandang hapon po, Chairman Jasa, sir. Kumusta po kayo?
Okay naman. Salamat din, Deo. Magandang hapon din. Thank you very much, Secretary Dominguez, Commissioner Dulay. Salamat din, Deo, for this invitation. To my colleagues, Mr. Ramonang, Mr. Ricky Razon, Mr. Tito Ortiz, Manny Pangilinan, salamat din sa inyo. No? Thank you very much. I think Mr. Razon said it well. There've been everybody's been hit in one way or another during this pandemic. But what I'd like to pick up from what my friends have said, Ramon, Ricky, Tito, Manny, is this has brought us all together. A crisis is a time when we all have to work together. And it's a chance for all of us to cooperate, to help the government, to help our people. And I think what has been important here is that we have all held hands during a very difficult time. A lot of people have lost employment. Revenues have come down. I appreciate Secretary Dominguez's interest in bringing resources to the government so that they can in turn help the people. This is an important time for all of us to come together. I think all the people who spoke today have shown that they are willing to hold hands, work together, be it the health-related issues, be helping the BIR, and see where we can work together. You mentioned, Deo, salamat for mentioning it, that we were with Mayor Belmonte of Quezon City yesterday helping. We're also helping other LGUs in any way we can. This is a time for cooperation and for all of us to work hand in hand, private sector, public sector, and I think 2020 has been a difficult year for everyone, for corporations, for individuals. Some people have suffered, others have done better. But I think if we can all band together, if we can hold hands and help the government, help each other, and cooperate, we all exist in an ecosystem where we all succeed if all of us succeed together. And this is a time for all of us to join hands. Let me, like others have said, also congratulate Commissioner Dulay. He's been a progressive BIR commissioner. His digitization of the BIR has helped us in the Ayala Group tremendously. We're grateful, Commissioner. Secretary Dominguez himself has also put a lot of emphasis on digitization. And we ourselves, together with other players in the telecom sector, are trying to do everything we can to help out, build the infrastructure that will help the country move forward. Salamat din, Deo. Thank you to everyone, and thank you also for this opportunity.
Thank you, Sir Jasa, sir. Pero dyan lang po kayo, sir, dahil ang digital transformation ay isa po sa mga biggest programs ng BIR. What projects can we expect from SMART? Ano po ang plano po natin, Mr. Jasa, sir?
Yeah, well, my friend Mr. Pangilinan can probably talk well about SMART, but on the part of Globe, you know, last year we committed 60 billion pesos in capital expenditures. This year, 2021, we're committing more than double that, about 140 billion pesos in capital expenditures. It is our job to help the country lay out the infrastructure that's necessary for the BIR and, of course, many others to supply, I guess, their products and services in a digital environment. We've covered about 80% of the city already with a 5G network. We'd like to get the greater Mega Manila to be 100%. We're already at 80%. We will do everything we can to help create the infrastructure that will help these digital transactions take place, whether it's for the BIR or for all the many other services that are needed at this point in time. Salamat din, Deo.
Thank you, sir. At sorry, ayan, nabanggit ko, Smart Globe pala. Ayan.
Okay lang, kaibigan naman tayo.
Anyway, Sir MVP, sir, ayan, so ano po ang inyong programa sa part naman ng PLDT at SMART?
Medyo similar sa sinabi ni Jaime, no? That we're also building out our 5G infrastructure, and we hope that by the end of the year, it will be substantially deployed in most parts of the Philippines, of this country, no? So, quite apart from the infra, yung mga applications ng 5G, no? Because greater speed, lower latency, better video experience. So it's a much better product platform than 4G, no? So we're doing our best para mabawasan ang presyo ng mga 5G devices. Kasi siyempre unang-una, bagong teknolohiya ito, the price of these cell phones are medyo mataas. No? Pero bumababa na yan. By the end of the year, the price will be more affordable to a greater number of Filipinos. No? But beyond that, sa enterprise, kailangan hindi lang yung connectivity, digital connectivity ang kailangan ng mga MSMEs and large corporations, but also solutions now. No? Because we need to push corporations to become more digital. No? So hindi lang naman yung lalagay mo yung fiber na kailangan nila or internet connectivities, especially abroad, no? But yung mga solution relating to their processes or the way they sell or deliver their products. Kailangan yun eh. No different from sa BIR, no? So, our enterprise is looking at more solutions now, digital solutions, on top of the digital connectivity because they go hand in hand eh. Ganun din sa wireless naman in respect of mga individuals like yourself and ourselves, no? Individuals. So, kasama yun yung solution na ino-offer namin sa mga enterprises.
Apo Commissioner, thank you very much, sir. At alam po niyo, Apo Commissioner Dulay, sir. Alam mo ba na ikaw ba nanood ng probinsyano, ha? Itanong nga natin kay Sir MVP kung totoo ba nga may joint venture na nga ba ang TV5 at saka ABS-CBN at mapapanood po ba ang probinsyano sa TV5, Sir MVP?
Well, Mahirap magsalita. Well, I think...
Biglang napunta sa showbiz.
Hindi. I think pinag-uusapan ngayon. There's some conversation going on between the two. And yun na nga, we have a meeting internally soon. Siguro we will find out soon enough kung pwede. No? Kasi as I understand it, it's a top rating show of ABS. No? So it's parang show na talagang gustong-gustong panoorin natin mga kababayan. So we'll try our best, no? To get the show.
Thank you very much, sir. Ayan, at nako kay Boss RSA at Mr. Razon, ayan na. Mr. RSA, Boss RSA, ayan na. Ang naapekto ng pandemic ay mga micro, small at medium enterprises. Ano po ba ang suporta ng San Miguel sa SMMEs, Bossing RSA, sir?
Karamihan ng mga ka-deal ng San Miguel Group ay mga SMEs. Sa mga dealers, suppliers, we make sure na matulungan natin sila at makabangon sila kaagad at para makapag-negosyo mabuti uli kami lahat. Salamat po.
Ayun, sorry po, ayan. At isa pa, Sir RSA, may nababanggit po yung pangalan nyo na kayo daw po ay tatakbong presidente sa 2022 elections. Ano po ang plano natin, sir? Totoo po ba yan?
Deo, tatakbo ako ng barangay captain pag 85 years old na po ako. Ngayon po, askasuhin ko na lang muna itong trabaho ko.
Ayan, kaya ko natanong kasi last election si Boss MVP ay narinig po yung pangalan natin na baka rin pong tumakbo pero hindi po tumuloy. Kasi ang sabi po nila ay nasubukan na natin lahat, mga politicians, may artista. Siguro dahil ang mga negosyante ay magaling mag-manage sa kanilang negosyo, baka daw mas magaling ko ang presidente ay isang negosyante para mas mapaganda po ang ating ekonomiya, ang ating bansa. Commissioner Billy Dulay, sir, ano ang tingin niyo sa mga ganyang pananaw na mga negosyante po ang dapat mamuno sa ating bansa?
Deo, mukhang hindi ko linya yung mga yan, magkandidato ng mga presidente, pero hindi naman masama.
Opo.
Kasi ang pagpatakbo ng bayan, management rin yan Kailangan ang presidente may experience rin sa pagdala ng tao, pagpatakbo ng alam mo yung bayan natin 7,100 islands yan. Siyasabi ko nga sa sarili ko pag lumalabas ako at tinitignan ko yung mga opisina natin at dinadaanan ko yung mga elementary school, yung mga ang daming tao at it's a challenge to be able to administer a country like the Philippines. So, management rin ang kailangan dyan.
Anyway, napunta tayo sa politika. Back to business po tayo. Sir Ricky Razon, alam po ninyo maraming anapektuhan nitong pandemic, ang mga micro, small, and medium enterprises. Ano po ba ang suporta naman ng inyong kumpanya? Particularly ang Bloomberry para po sa MSMEs, Sir Ricky.
Bukod doon sa ginawa namin sa mga quarantine centers, ngayon sa mga vaccine, sa mga ganyan testing, wala nag-umpisa yung lockdown, nagbago kami ng strategy na bumibili na kami ng kung anong kailangan namin. Ang kausap namin, mga maliliit na kumpanya. Imbes na bumibili kami sa malalaking kumpanya, total sila magsusurvive. Focus namin makipag-transaksyon at saka mamili sa maliliit na supplier. Maski mahal ng konti, mas mahal ng konti ang presyo, pero doon kami nakafocus. So, yung tulungan namin lang mag-survive yung mga SMEs.
Ayan na. Sir, at alam po ninyo, naipasa na po ang Create Bill At ito po ay pipirmahan na lang ng ating Pangulong Duterte. Sa inyo po nga padig, Sir Ricky, ano pa inyong opinion dito sa CREATE law? Pabor po ba sa...
Ay isang progressive tax bill.
Yes, sir.
Na mag-incentivize sa mga kumpanya, sa mga negosyo na dahil sa lowering ng corporate tax, mag-invest sa economy. Saka yung mga ibang incentives doon, bukod doon sa treatment sa mga vaccine na pwede ipasok tax duty and VAT free, ay makakatulong yan sa incentive to invest more sa economy. Kasi may progressive lowering ng corporate tax doon, yun ang centerpiece for businesses. Ayun ay progressive tax talaga yun. Magkikreate ng investment environment para matulungan ang economy natin. Yan ang kailangan pagtulong-tulong. Ang negosyo nag-umpisa yan sa consumer all the way back. Kailangan protect tayo natin at tulungan natin yung mga consumer natin kasi dyan tayo lahat nabubuhay.
Thank you, sir. Ayan. Si Secretary Sani Dominguez. Secretary, sir, may mga iba pong reaksyon dito sa CREATE bill na nakadagdag pirmahan ng Pangulong Duterte. Sabi po parang favorable daw po ito sa mga foreign investors at apektado ang local businessmen. So ano ang paliwanag natin, Secretary Dominguez, sir, ayan para mapawi itong mga ganitong expectation o pangamba ng local business secretary, sir?
Maraming salamat, Deo. First of all, nagpapasalamat ako sa lahat ng mga kasama natin dito sa programang ito. Sila po ay ang heads ng pinakamalaking conglomerate sa bayan at sila talaga ang tumutulong sa recovery natin. Kung wala sila dyan, kung wala yung tulong nila, talagang mahihirapan ang bayan natin. So, first of all, thank you to all of you. And also, thank you to the small taxpayers around the country.
Thank you.
Dito po sa CREATE, sabi nga ni Mr. Rason, ang centerpiece dito ay binaba namin ho yung taxes ng lahat ng kumpanya. From 30%, kung maliit ka na kumpanya, babayad ka na lang ng 20%. Sa mga malalaki, from 30%, bumaba sa 25%, tapos through the years, bababa pa yan hanggang abutin yung 20%. Ang ibig sabihin namin doon, parang stimulus program ito. Iniiwan namin yung pera sa kamay ng mga negosyante para sila nang magdidesisyon kung paano nilang gamitin at paano nilang i-invest yung pera para makaka-create sila ng trabaho. Meron ding portion doon para sa foreign investors. Ang negosyo kasi hindi lang local foreign din. So kailangan imbitahin din natin yung mga foreign investors dito. At ang ginagawa namin doon, we are prepared to give them more fiscal at saka non-fiscal incentives so that we can be competitive with Vietnam, with Thailand, with Indonesia. Lahat to nagko-compete yan for foreign investment. So, pantay-pantay ho yung CREATE na bill. So, nagpapasalamat din ako sa Kongreso at saka sa Senado for passing this bill. And we're waiting for it to be enrolled at saka i-submit sa Malacanang para mapirmahan ng Presidente. So, thank you again for everybody's help and and thank you also for hosting this, Deo.
Thank you, sir. Secretary, at ito na po yung mga phone-in questions through FB. Ang tanong po, Dr. Ortiz sa Union Bank, kilala po ang Union Bank sa transformation efforts. Paano niyo po matutulungan ang BIR in their transformation efforts? Dr. Ortiz, sir.
Yeah, thank you for that question. No? As I mentioned, I mean, the best way we can help the BIR is to create transaction streams in platforms that are transparent, that are immutable, that cannot be changed, and that can generate automatically tax returns. So as long as the BIR recognizes that, so we can work together so that the system is malinis at claro and simple to understand, then it becomes possible for taxes to be paid automatically. You can even avoid having to apply. No? So the current transformation effort of the BIR, which is fantastic, especially during the pandemic, taxpayers still need to go online, go to the website, make appointments, etc. And get the ito from the platform. It can generate automatically the tax returns, and because it's on the blockchain, it will be immutable and it's forever there, and the BIR can always audit at a later date, right? So I think that will speed up collection. It will make collection more exact, walang error, right? It's more exact. No physical contact, so it becomes automatic. And in the supply chains, the tax efficiency of the large taxpayer is better. And then as you go down the supply chain, it gets less and less and more difficult all the way down to the sari-sari store. No? So hopefully, when the large taxpayers bring the SMEs into the ecosystem, then the data, the tax data, revenue data can be easily generated. Now, what's the advantage? So they're going to be paying more taxes. Ayaw nila yun kung pwede. So the advantage is credit. Because now we have the information, bankers like us, and I mentioned we built a platform called CCAP, which is bank agnostic. It's not only Union Bank there. Even other banks are there. And they can use that information to lend money to the dealers, to the small grocery, to the sari-sari store, using that same information that's important to create the tax returns, right? So I think that's one way to help the BIR. Make it simple, make it automatic, make it transparent, make it auditable permanently, and to make it automatic and error-free. Because there's only one version of the truth. It's the original invoice that was generated by the large taxpayer, which is split as it goes down the distribution line. So I think that's one idea.
Thank you, sir. At para kay Sir MVP, ayan, sir, how can you improve connectivity considering that it is very vital in this pandemic period? Like quality of internet.
Okay. Well, I think if you split the networks into two sides of it, right, as most telco networks are, the wireless side of it is we've shown great progress, no? The industry's shown great progress in terms of the various metrics that independent ratings agencies, how they rate the telco players here, and whether in terms of coverage, speed, latency, video experience, and the like, nag-improve na talagang internet service ng mga wireless providers. No? Ang fixed line business is an entirely different business kasi you have to put the wires. on the ground, di ba? So there's a physical effort in trying to do that. So the fixed line coverage of the country is not as extensive. Can never be extensive as wireless coverage. So, but quite a number of us, if not most of us, are in that business, expanding the fiber. Clearly, PLDT has the most extensive fiber network in the country. As of last count, more than 500,000 kilometers of cable have been laid all over the country. And there's still more that needs to be done in that regard. And that's where the coverage part is still lacking. Principally for the homes, we have about 25 to 27 million households, and not all of them have the access to fixed broadband. So we're doing our best to address that by laying more and more fiber, getting rid of our copper, which is old infra and does not provide this kind of speed that the fiber does provide. So yun lang. I think we made significant improvements across the board, but more needs to be done on the fixed line side, and we're trying to address that as quickly as we can.
Thank you very much, sir. At kay Sir Jasa. Sir, ayan, ang tanong po rito, ayan, so paano rin ini-improve ang telco ng Globe? At yung second question, how can you give affordable housing to ordinary Filipinos during this pandemic? Sir Jasa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Deo. Both questions are important. Like my colleague, Mr. Pangilinan, all of us have a responsibility on the telco side to keep improving and investing in the infrastructure. I mentioned earlier that we're doing our best to keep our capital expenditure moving. We're grateful also to Secretary Dominguez for the CREATE bill. Anything that makes the country more competitive from a tax point of view allows us to reinvest the money back in the country, and the telecom industry is one more example of an industry that needs to keep reinvesting. And so all these moves by the Secretary of Finance and the DOF are encouraging all of us to keep reinvesting in the country and giving employment, which is an important part. On the issue of housing, that's of course a very important component. The demand for housing continues to be strong. I think we've been grateful also to the government, particularly the monetary authorities, for keeping interest rates low. This has allowed interest rates to stay at a low level. It's allowed mortgages for houses to continue, and has allowed the housing market to continue increasing. We have price points now in Ayala Land, from the top end to the very bottom. We have a responsibility as well to supply housing to the more lower income groups who need more affordability in their product. There are many other groups that are doing the same. It's the biggest and fastest growing sector in Ayala Land, so we intend to continue giving to that sector and using modern technology, prefabricated technology, to bring down the cost and make it as affordable as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At kay Sir Ricky Razon, Sir Ricky, ayan, may tanong po rito kasi ang sabi ng PAGCOR, malaki daw po ang natanggap nilang revenue from Pogo. Ano po ang inyong masasabi, sir, sa Pogo dito sa ating bansa? Dapat ba manatili ito o dapat ipagbawal, Sir Ricky?
Hindi kami involved dyan sa Pogo. So, wala akong masasabi dyan sa gobyerno yan kung dapat ipagpatuloy o hindi. Wala kaming masyadong alam dyan.
So, hindi po ba kayo naapektuhan dito sa ang Bloomberry, dito sa Pogo, dito sa ating bansa?
Hindi naman. Kung ano man, yung mga Pogo na Chinese, nagsusugal din yan. So, siguro nakakatulong din. Pero sa ngayon, medyo neutral ang view namin dyan. No?
Apo.
Si Secretary Dominguez, maraming nakukolekt ng buwis ngayon dyan. So baka ayaw niyang bitawan. Sa ngayong panahon, no?
Commissioner, Secretary Dominguez, sir. Ano po ang inyong reaction dito? Ayan na. Dapat ba manatili ang Pogo rito sa atin? Malaki ba ang nakuniklateng buwis na sa mga Pogo, sir?
Alam mo nyo, basta legal ang activity, okay ako. especially kung nagbabayad sila ng buwis.
Opo.
But first, the activity has to be legal.
Opo.
Second, they must pay the tax. So, yun lang ho ang standard ho namin dito sa DOF at saka sa BIR. Kung illegal ang activity, dapat hindi nila gawin yon. Okay? Kahit na babayad sila ng buwis kung illegal. Pero kung legal naman, okay lang.
Opo. Thank you, sir. Ayan na. Nako, si Secretary RSA. Boss RSA, hanggang kailan daw po libre ang toll fee sa Skyway 3? Nadam po kami doon, libre pa nga. Bossing. Boss RSA.
Hanggat kaya namin, libre. Kanya lang, alam nyo, inutang din natin yung pagpapatayo niyan.
Opo.
Kaya, siyempre, kinakatok na rin tayo ng bangko, nagpapautang niyan na, kailan ba kayo mag-umpisa sumingil para makabayad kayo? Hanggat pwede po, gagawin po nating libre.
Kailangan i-congratulate si Ramon dyan, dyan sa importanteng infrastructure yung Skyway 3. At pinagtsagaan niya gawin yan 9 na taon. Literally, ang daming roadblock niyan. Literally, no? Mga right of way. Matyaga lang si Ramon kaya natapos niya. Kaya sa akin, kudos and congratulations, Ramon.
Salamat po.
Totoo yan, Sir Ricky. Talagang malaking kaalwanan, malaking bagay para sa ating mga motorista. Nakatipid tayo sa gas at siyempre yung traffic medyo nabawasan po. At Boss RSA, pati EDSA lumuwag po dahil sa Skyway 3. Ano po?
Opo. Alam nyo, bago po mabuksan tong Sky 3, pagka nanggagaling po ako ng Makati, dinner at night, kahit na pandemic, inaabot po ako ng 1 oras. Pre-pandemic, 2 oras from Makati to Green Hills sa gabi pag umuwi ako ng 11 o'clock ng gabi. Malaking tulong po yan. Ngayon po, 15 minutes lang po from Makati to Green Hills. Kaya mas maraming oras na magagamit natin sa pag-good time.
Na yung sarili mo, ha?
Saan po? Sa Soler po ba? Anyway, Sir RSA, ayan na. Ongoing na rin po yung extension ng Skyway dun sa South Luzon Expressway. Ayan, ano po ang plano at hanggang kailan po ba sa South idudugtong itong Skyway, sir?
Yung pong dinugtong natin is from Sucat to Susana Heights.
Yes, sir.
Opo. Yung problema ng lugar na yun lagi is northbound or southbound. Nagkaka-traffic po yan sa exit ng Bikutan tsaka Sucat. But with this extension, mababypass na natin yung problema ng Bikutan at Sucat. At hopefully, madugtungan din natin yung Bikutan at Sucat para mawala ng traffic yung lugar na yan. By March 30, next month, mabubuksan na po yung Susana Heights to Sucat.
Wow.
And then by June, yung Sucat to Susana Heights southbound matatapos na rin po.
Paano po yung airport naman sa Bulacan?
Ako, mahaba pa ho yun. Matagal pa ho yun.
Matagal pa po.
Napakarami po trabaho nun.
Anyway, Sir RSA, thank you. At kay Secretary Dominguez at kay Commissioner Dulay. Ang tanong po, Secretary Sir, Commissioner Dulay, Sir, ang ating mga kababayan ay nagbabayad ng buwis, lalo sa inyong mga panawagan, sa inyong kampanya. Ang tanong po nila ay mga negosyante natin, ano naman ang magagawang tulong ng BIR sa business sector? Halimbawa, meron bang incentive o mga programa ang BIR para matulungan naman ating mga businessmen, mga taxpayers? Secretary Sunny Dominguez, sir.
Ang first tulong ho namin, sinimplify ho namin yung pagka-file ng tax. Binago yung mga forms para hindi na masyadong mahaba. Dati, kahit na maliit ka na kumpanya, yung pina-fill up mo na forms, parang malaking kumpanya na rin. So ngayon parang simple na lang. Sa mga individuals din ho, sinimplify din ho ni Billy Dulay yung mga forms na yung mga forms na dapat i-file. Number 1 yon. Number 2, because of the digitalization, madali na ho mag-file ngayon ng tax returns. Dati, sa 2015, ang number of manually filed tax returns was 13 million. 2015. Sa 2020, 1.3 million na lang ang manually filed. Ngayon, 94% na yan ng lahat ng fina-file. So, everybody now, especially yung mga bata, young people, alam na nila how to use a smartphone. They can file their tax return in the smartphone already. So, in that way, mas convenient sa kanila ang dealing sa BIR. Marami pa ho silang mga programa, and I think I'll leave it up to Billy and Lani to explain ho.
Opo, ayan na. Siguro darating tayo dyan mamaya. Commissioner, ayan, ano ba ang masabi niyo dyan?
Deo, talaga yung naging programa ng BIR, we're following the ease of doing business law. Marami kaming tinanggal na requirements na documentation para mapabilis ang transaction sa BIR. Yun, at saka kung nahalata mo over the years, past 2 years I think, wala nang pila dun sa BIR pag tax filing, yung income tax filing, di ba? Nakita mo yan. All because of the efforts to improve yung digital transformation program namin. So tuloy-tuloy yan, tuloy-tuloy kaming nag-iisip kung paano pa kami makatulong sa mga taxpayers natin.
Thank you, sir. Sir MVP, ano po ba ang inyong expectations from the Bureau of Internal Revenue?
Well, they've done a good job, di ba? Good job po, Commissioner. So, they have higher targets for 2021, coming off a pandemic, di ba? That's a very challenging job, Commissioner. So, we will cooperate, obviously, by investing to you and to Secretary Dominguez, raising our capital expenditure this year, especially that there's a bit more cash on our hands because of the CREATE bill. No? So we're undertaking to put that into increased capital expenditure this year and in the coming years. So whatever we can do to help you in your digital transformation process, we're available. I think there'll be more of these payment channels that will help you collect more efficiently. Whatever we can do in terms of your data storage, whether you could put that on the cloud, I don't know whether you've done it already, whether you need help in curating your data, making it more efficient in trying to arrive at a profile of your taxpayers. No? So, we're here to help, Commissioner. No? And again, congratulations. And we wish you all the best in 2021.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Ortiz, ayan. Ano pa yung expectations from BIR?
Well, because of the pandemic and the lockdown, yung aggregate demand has shrunk. So yung mga revenues ng kompanya and the SMEs and even individuals who have lost their jobs have come down. So the fiscal activity of government that's led by the DOF and Congress in the approval of the budget is super important. It's super important to jumpstart the economy. It's the fiscal. So and the capability of the government to spend. I think we have the biggest national budget ever in the last Congress, is dependent on tax collection. So I think we should all be supportive of anything that the BIR does in terms of tax collection, because that's the fuel for the spending that the government is going to do, which is important to all of us, to the whole society, including business, in terms of stimulating aggregate demand and therefore getting our business to grow again and to get the whole economy to grow again. So I think it's very important that the efficiency of tax collection improves so that the government can spend, and that will help all of us. And anything we can do to help the DOF, the BIR, or the Bureau of Customs, I mean, we're available to help. So Secretary Dominguez and Commissioner Dulay, I mean, both of you have done a great job in getting us through this process. The government spending is super critical. It's important. It's the catalyst that will get the engine of the economy going. So I think we're in a good place.
Thank you, Dr. Ortiz. Sir Jasa, ayan, ano po ang mga expectations naman po sa mula sa BIR?
Thank you, Deo. Like Tito Ortiz, we've had a very good relationship with Commissioner Dulay and the BIR. It's been efficient. We've been able to work together. We applaud the digitization because in the end, speed of resolution maybe there was an important thing for all of us, so we can keep moving. But there's been a lot of progress that Commissioner Dulay has brought to the BIR. We've had an efficient working relationship, and so I wish him all the best in his continuous programs to make the speed of resolution quicker. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir Ricky, magandang hapon po. Ano expectation niyo from BIR?
The BIR has admirably and impressively transformed themselves from a monolithic bureaucracy to a digital platform in such a short period. They have made tax payment easier, which is very good for all those who are paying their taxes. But the BIR needs to achieve in the future is to increase the percentage of tax collections of overall GDP at levels of our neighbors and competitors. So collect the taxes of those who are not paying, who don't want to pay taxes and are avoiding taxes. And with what BIR has achieved so far, they're now, I think, in the best position ever to do that. Kailangan tumaas yung tax base natin. So, yung mga nagbabayad, walang problema yun. As business grows, we will pay more. Yung mga hindi nagbabayad, yun ang kailangan talagang matapos na, no? Masingil na nila lahat yun.
Thank you very much, sir. Ayan, boss sa RSA. Ano pa yung masabi? Ano po mga expectations nyo sa Bureau?
Ang masasabi ko sa BIR is, sa experience ko sa BIR under the watch of Billy Dulay, talagang prangka. At prangka, mahigpit, pero madaling, yung pwede ka magpaliwanag kung meron kang gustong sabihin. Kanya, kami ay 100% kami nagko-cooperate with BIR. Isa kami sa mga pinakamaraming, parang kami yung collector ng Philippine government, di ba? Pinakamaraming kung binabayad ng mga sin tax, mga excise tax, mga kung ano. Pero if you notice, we are a company that will religiously, honestly pay 100% taxes. We will not even try to avoid any taxes. Sapagkat nakakaya po yun kung gawin natin yon. Kaya makakaasa po kayo na magbabayad po kami ng taxes. Salamat po.
Thank you, boss RSA. Secretary Sunny Dominguez, sir. Alam ko nyo, ito matagal ko na nating tinatanong. Bakit yung mga top businessmen, ang pangalan ay nasa Forbes magazine, ang lalaki ng mga dinideclare ng mga assets nila, pero ang marami nagtataka, ba't yung pong mga nasa top 10 ng Forbes magazine, hindi po sila ang mga number 1 o top 10 na taxpayers, Secretary Sunny Dominguez, sir? Bakit po ganun?
Alam ho nyo, hindi na ho namin pinapublish yung top 10. Kasi may batas na rin tayo na privacy law. This is a private matter.
Okay.
Pero alam ho ni Billy kung sino talaga nagbabayad ng tax. At saka itong mga top 10, talaga nandito sila sa sa forum na ito ngayon. Pero hindi ho namin sabihin kung ilan ang binabayaran nila. No, I want to point out something else, ha? Alam mo, we have about 25 million taxpayers. Okay? That's companies at saka individuals. Each taxpayer, if they were filing manually, will file about 20 pages. Kasi may mga 5 pages yan. I don't know how many copies you have to file. Sabihin mo na 20 pages each taxpayer. That is 500 million pages.
Wow.
By digitization, we do not spend money on paper anymore. And when you don't spend money on paper, you do not cut trees anymore. So, the contribution also of the BIR is saving the environment by digitalization. So, malaki rin ang tulong ng BIR sa climate change. So, I just want to point this out. We think we save at least 500 million long form page, hindi yung legal size, hindi yung letter size. So I don't know how many trees that is. Maybe I'll ask my staff to compute how many trees do we save a year by digitalization. So
thank you, sir.
May malaking contribution din sila sa climate change. Thank you.
Ayan. Thank you, Secretary Dominguez, sir. Ayan, si Sir Jasa. Ayan, Sir Jasa. So ano naman po sa inyong panig? Ano ang expectation po ninyo sa Bureau of Internal Revenue?
Thank you, Deo. Well, as I mentioned earlier, we've had a very efficient relationship with the BIR. We encourage them to continue digitizing, as Secretary Dominguez has said. It'll make it more efficient. It'll make it quicker. Anything that adds speed and lessens the paperwork, as Secretary Dominguez said, is a good thing. So we're here to help also in any way that we can. Anything we can do for the Commissioner and for the organization, of course, we're happy to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Dulay. Apo Billy, ayan na. Sa panig naman po ng BIR, ano naman po ang expectations po ninyo sa ating mga taxpayers?
Deo, alam mo, ang role ng BIR is mangolekta para sa gobyerno, para may gustusin ng gobyerno, para sa bayan. Pare-pareho lang naman kami dito sa mga panelists dito ngayon. Narinig mo ang sinasabi nila. Gusto nilang magtulungan tayo. BIR at saka yung mga malalaking taxpayers, large taxpayers ang tawag natin, at kahit yung mga maliliit. Ang importante is my sense of patriotism tayo, my sense of nationalism, na gusto natin gawin yung trabaho o gusto rin natin gawin yung mga papel natin para sa bayan. Ang masasabi ko lang, ang BIR, mulat nung nandun ako, I emphasize that we are public servants. Hindi yung public ang emphasis, yung servants. Kaya para sa mga taxpayers, nandiyan kami, magsiservisyo kami. Ang papel namin ay magserbisyo, hindi para maservisyohan. Di ba? We're here to serve you all. We're not here to be served. So, alam naman ng mga iba karamihan na iba na rin yung mukha ng BIR in terms of service. So ang expectation ko lang is, gaya ng sabi ni Secretary Dominguez, all we need is they comply with the law and we implement the law. And if we are in a position to help them within the bounds of the law, gagawin natin yan. Maluwag tayo. Anytime, pwede sila pumunta sa opisina to bring out their concerns. And that's my experience. Kahit dito sa pandemic, marami akong nakakausap na pinapakinggan natin. Yung mga suggestions, yung mga kung ano ang pwede natin maitulong. So, servisyo lang, Deo, and yun ang expectation natin sa lahat ng taxpayers natin.
Commissioner Dulay, Sir Apo, dahil maganda ang serbisyo ngayon ng BIR, sa inyong panunungkulan ni Secretary Sunny Dominguez at kayo po bilang BIR Commissioner, nabawasan na po ba ang mga tax evaders?
Hindi natin, ako personally, hindi natin masabi yan. Pero tuloy-tuloy ang paghabol namin sa tax evaders. Meron kaming programa yung Run After Tax Evaders. So, taon-taon, marami kaming fina-file na kaso. Kaya, we need we have to coordinate with the Department of Justice, with the courts, the Court of Tax Appeals, so that we can continue to fulfill our mandate para mahabol ito mga siyasabi nating tax evaders. Tuloy-tuloy yung monitoring namin at yung record, marami na yan. Marami kaming naisara. Marami namang nagko-comply pag sinabi natin, oy, hindi ka registered, oy, eto, deficient yung tax mo. Babayad naman sila. Kaya gumanda yung collection natin itong taon na to and in the previous years, Deo.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, sir, and congratulations. At Secretary Sunny Dominguez, sir, ano po inyong mensahe sa ating mga kababayan, particular po sa ating mga taxpayers?
Before the message, I just make 2 points. Number 1, bumaba na rin yung mga tax evaders, especially dun sa mga inheritance tax. Dati ho kasi, yung batas said you have to pay 20% of the inheritance as tax. Ngayon, binabana ni Presidente Duterte at saka yung Congress, binabana nila yan sa 6%. So, ang nakikita namin, marami na nagfa-file na mga inheritance tax. Dati yan, hindi nagfa-file yan kasi malaki yung tax noon, 20%. Ngayon, 6% na lang. So, I think in that area, talagang bumababa yung mga tax evaders. Secondly, I told you, we are saving around 500 million pages a year of manual filing. According to my staff, we are saving 25,000 trees a year. At least 25,000 trees a year. So yung trabaho ng BIR also has environmental effects. Alam mo nyo, na-assign ako ni Presidente kasi sa climate change. Ako na ho yung chairman ng Climate Change Commission. So I'm thinking about the environment also. Thank you. Finally, again, nagpapasalamat ako sa mga taxpayers, not only those who are here tonight, pero all the taxpayers in the country for cooperating, for helping fund the development of your country. I want to thank also the Bureau of Internal Revenue, led by Billy and the deputy commissioners, the assistant commissioners, down to the examiners. I think everybody has been doing a very good job. I would like to give you an example. The BIR office now in Makati, please visit it. It's in the old Urban Bank building. It's very efficient office. It's very neat. It's very efficient. It's environmentally correct, sound, and I think it's a good way to show how we service the public. But anyway, our gratitude to all, and please continue to support the development of the Filipino people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary Sani Dominguez, sir. At muli, congratulations sa inyo, Commissioner Dulay, for a job well done. At of course, lahat ng mga officers and employees ng Bureau of Internal Revenue. Congratulations po sa inyong lahat. At maraming salamat po. At siyempre, sabi nga masarap na malaman na sama-sama ang gobyerno at mga taxpayers sa hamon ng panahon. Thank you, Secretary Dominguez, sir. Apo Commissioner Billy. At ang ating mga bisita, ayan, Sir Ninong, MVP, Sir Manny Pangilinan, Dr. Justo Ortiz, at of course, si Bossing Ramon Ang, at Sir Enrique Razon Jr., and Sir Jasa Jaime Augusto Sobel de Ayala. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat, at ako po si Deo Macalma na nagsasabing sama-sama sa hamon ng panahon. Wisco para sa Pilipino. Magandang hapon po. Thank you.
Sama sa hamon ng panahon, ang buwis ko'y para sa Pilipino. Lakas at galing, sipag talino, ibibigay ko tapat na serbisyo. Alay sa bayan, utak ko at puso.
Buwisco.
Buwisco.
Buwisco. Buwisco.
Buwisco.
Buwisco
para
sa Pilipino.
Lakas at galing. Lakas at galing.
Lakas at galing. Lakas at galing. Sipag at talino.
Ibibigay ko. Ibibigay ko.
Ibibigay ko.
Ibibigay ko. Tapat na serbisyo. Tapat na serbisyo.
Tapat na serbisyo.
Tapat na serbisyo. Tapat na serbisyo.
Sama-sama. Sama-sama.
Sama-sama sa hamon ng panahon. Buwis nyo para sa Pilipino.
Sino pa ba ang tutugon para sabay-sabay ang pagbangon? Progreso ang ating ambisyon, sama-sama sa hamon ng panahon. Ang buwis ko'y para sa Pilipino, lakas at galing, sipag talino, ibibigay ko tapat na serbisyo. Alay sa bayan, utak at puso, ang buwis ko'y para sa Pilipino. Lakas at galing, sipag talino, ibibigay ko tapat na serbisyo. Alay sa bayan, utak ko at puso.
Maraming salamat sa inyong panonood. Ito po ang Sama-sama sa Hamon ng Panahon, Buwisco para sa Pilipino, the 2021 BIR Tax Campaign Kickoff. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Sama sa hamon ng panahon, ang buwis ko'y para sa Pilipino. Lakas at galing, sipag talino, ibibigay ko tapat na serbisyo. Alay sa bayan, utak ko at puso.
Buwisko.
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 Buwisko. Para sa Pilipino. Lakas at galing. Lakas at galing.
Lakas at galing.
Lakas at galing, sipag at talino.
Ibibigay ko.
Ibibigay ko.
Ibibigay ko.
Ibibigay ko. Tapat na serbisyo. Tapat na serbisyo.
Tapat na serbisyo.
Tapat na serbisyo.
Tapat na serbisyo.
Sama-sama.
Sama-sama.
Sama-sama sa